Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I'm autistic and have ADHD. This week has been another hard week. It's funny, I got a comment on one of my last videos, that said, don't be too polished, keep it raw and real. And I wasn't really sure I understood what the comment meant, and I asked, the person did not respond back that I saw in the message replies, but I was having a really good week in my last, well, I say week, I'm time blind, ADHD time blind. I think that video was only 2.5 days ago, but I was having a good moment. See, autism isn't a static, and ADHD, they're not static disorders. And within even one day, I can fluctuate very in a broad range about if I'm feeling good, and then just something can like happen to dysregulate me. But sometimes it seems like the opposite can happen. Sometimes something good will happen and completely just turn everything around for me. It's more common to go the other way where I'll get dysregulated. It's harder to come out of a dysregulation. It's like starting fresh in the morning. Sometimes seems the best, but not always. Hyper focuses or hyperfixation can really kind of pull you out of it. And creating content is one of my special interests. So oftentimes, even when I'm feeling very dysregulated, sitting down, talking to the camera, and creating content triggers that like happy dopamine part of my brain that makes it where I can function higher rate than I would be otherwise, and it's because it's my special interest. I forgot to introduce, for anybody new here, that's my pug Watson, and yeah, this is my first time sitting on the floor on a video. I'm really working very hard on just listening to what sounds good to my body in time and space. I got that from going to my son's OT, Occupational Therapy sessions. Sometimes she will ask my son, what does your body feel like doing right now? And they have this like really cool gym where there's like bouncy things and swings and like a sensory bins, all kinds of different things. And sometimes my son is like, I just want to sit in a room and talk. But sometimes he's like, bouncing sounds really good. And I don't know. I was just like, I just want to sit on the floor right now. For some reason, sitting on the floor just seemed like what my body wanted to do. And I sat on the couch at first and I just couldn't get comfortable. And so I sat down on the floor and I was like, okay, this feels good right now. So we're going to do that here. I also, since getting diagnosed, find myself sitting in my closet a lot more than I ever used to. Even in the pantry. A lot of times when I'm cooking dinner, it's a small pantry, but it's big enough for one stool. And I don't ever shut the door, but just sitting on that stool in the pantry, like while something's simmering, can really help. I think just having the small closet and the small pantry and with the light off, it just kind of helps me feel cozy for a minute. And something about just sitting on the floor of my closet is very cozy. So I've just been trying to listen to, bye Watson, things that sound good, even if they're weird, because that's the thing. Like before my diagnosis, I never paid attention to things like that. I would not have given them any consideration because that's not normal. That's not what you should be doing. Sitting in your closet during the middle of the day is weird, but honestly, sometimes it's just what I need to do. And I encourage any of y'all who are working through unmasking your autism to, if you get this weird thought and this weird urge to, one time I was like, I want to sit in the bathtub. Like, I don't even know why the idea popped in my head, but something about sitting in the empty bathtub with my clothes on just popped into my brain. And I'm like, that sounds really appealing right now. I don't know if I was hot and then like it's not porcelain, but you know, just something about the hot tub. It sounded like it would be cool. And I had the lights off again in the bathroom. And I have a bathtub that has kind of a sloped back, and it just fit just so perfectly. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So I crawled into the empty bathtub with my clothes on and just sat there with my eyes closed for a few minutes. And I'm like, wow, I would have never let myself do this, but it really feels good right now. It just feels like what my body needed to do. So this is going to go under the playlist of Amanda's Tea Time, because I don't have a specific topic that I really wanted to talk about today. But sometimes these are my best videos because it's almost, what's the word when writers, free association. And I just need to like let some thoughts out. And sometimes, from the feedback that I've gotten from y'all, these sometimes are y'all's favorite videos, which makes me feel very, very good because, so oftentimes in my life, nobody wants to listen to my random rambling, so it feels very good when people do. Hold on. Okay. Hubby came in and offered me some popcorn, and then I got it stuck down my throat. He didn't know I was filming. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Yeah, just Amanda's tea time video. I don't have tea today. It's so hot. Summertime, right? And I'm wearing jeans because I was out running errands. And anyway, so on Monday, I went to the second meeting of the book club that I talked about a couple videos back. And I had some thoughts on that I wanted to share again for anybody who is autistic and you're actively working to try to make friends, because as a lot of us know, it is very, very difficult. So even before I got diagnosed, the way that I often would find friends when I needed to, like, because, struggling to maintain friendships has been a lifelong thing for me, and it's a very good indicator of autism if you've had a lifelong struggle to keep and maintain friendships or even make friends to begin with. And so before my diagnosis, I even kind of just, had a methodology that I would follow. And that would be to try to join a club or a group that had something to do with something that I was interested in enough. But the thing is, you've got to go beyond that. You've got to keep showing up. You've got to keep coming over and over and over. And it feels like a complete waste of time. And it feels like this is pointless. And because if it's a mixed diversity group, so you have neurotypical and neurodivergent people, to the neurotypical people, they can't spot us. They don't understand. They don't necessarily know that we have autism, but they will peg us as like weird or hard to communicate with, or, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. It's just, maybe some of y'all have experienced this. We often communicate better with other neurodivergent people, and neurotypical people just naturally communicate better with other neurotypical people. It's not that you can't be friends with each other. It's just that it takes a lot more work. And then I think there's just a lot of us undiagnosed neurodivergent people out there. So in groups in the past, I think if I've ever found somebody that I felt like I clicked with right away, now looking back with this new lens of education that I have, I'm like, oh, they were undiagnosed neurodivergent too. Like this one lady in particular at a specific group that I went to, we hit it off right away. Like everybody else was like, wow, y'all were like instant best friends. And now I am pretty sure she's undiagnosed autistic too. Of course, we had a big falling out a couple years ago, miscommunication. And so we're no longer friends, but I try to repair relationships. I'm the kind of person, I like to lead with kindness. I like to try to communicate. But oftentimes my communication comes off as being too clingy, too much, all of those adjectives. But anyway, going back to just showing up. So when I first moved to this city that I'm currently living in, I wanted to get involved in the homeschool community because I had 5-year-old kids and we were going to start homeschooling them. And we moved right before their kindergarten year. And so I joined this local homeschool group, and it was free. It was a park meetup. You just met up every week at the park, and I showed up, and I would show up every week after week. And I would make kind of small talk here and there, but I wasn't making connections. And then finally, it was like I had just showed up so many times that I became part of the scenery, and it was like I'd always been there, and it was like magically I was part of the group. And then I started to make friends, and it was like they finally started accepting me. And I've noticed this in other groups too. It's like you just have to keep showing up until you become like you've always been there, if that makes sense. So, and I could be wrong, but this is kind of what's worked for me in the past on how to make friends. And I was talking to my therapist today, and I said, I feel like I'm kind of in a friend desert right now. Just because where I'm at in my life, I think I've changed a lot getting diagnosed. I'm not the same vivacious, bubbly person that I was, but also, I mean, just world events. Like, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling right now. It's not just the neurodivergent community. Neurotypical people are also struggling in their own ways, just because, I mean, at least if you're in America, our country, but I'm just not going to go into that right now. But, inflation, yada, yada, like so many people are struggling. And I have one very close friend that I've actually known for actually quite a long time. We're close in a way that I've known her for a very, very long time, and she's near and dear to me. But she's also extremely introverted. So for her cup of, when they say fill your cups, for her cup to be full, she only needs to see me once a month, maybe twice a month, and then that's enough social time for her. But for me, I'm much, much more social kind of person. So she's a great friend, but I have to have more than just her, right? Otherwise, my cup isn't full. And I have some other friends who are just all going through hard things right now. So they're just off dealing with their own mental health. And I support that. And it's like, let me know what I can do while I'm also over here struggling. It's just, it's a thing, right? But at the same time, part of what my mental health needs is friends to have communication. And I talked a little bit, I touched about it in my last video. I think that autistic people, a lot of times, we want intimate relationships, and by intimate, I don't mean sexual. So much of the time in our culture, and again, specifically speaking American, I can't speak to other cultures. The only intimate relationship that's ever displayed in media and talked about is one with one significant partner. And that's great and all, but that isn't really I don't think what most humans need. I even think this would be good for neurotypical people too. And that is just having more people that you get close to, that you're intimate with by sharing deep thoughts and things, but 100% completely separate from sexual. You can be intimate with somebody and have a close relationship that is not based on a sexual energy at all. So I think a lot of autistic people, we want to delve into these like deep connections, and neurotypical people, if they ever do get that way with somebody who's not a romantic partner, it takes them a lot longer to get there. And I don't know where I was going with that. It's, just the fact that like, for my mental health, I need those deep connections. My brain gets stimulated and happy when I'm talking about things that matter in life, not just like what some actor or actress is doing on the TV. Like that kind of stuff is fun to talk about sometimes, or fashion. I have a friend that I love to talk fashion with. That's a tangent. I'm going to say the tangent. I love fashion. Now, knowing that I'm autistic, I understand why I struggle with translating that into me, because a lot of fashion stuff isn't focused around comfort, and comfort has to come before fashion for me. But I love talking and looking and fashion stuff. But again, those kinds of conversations are not the same thing as what people's goals, their dreams, and tell me about your relationships with your family and your kids. Like, I want to get down to like the deeper connections. And right now I don't have that many people in my life that I have that with. And for some people, they're like, if you only have one or two people like that, then they feel fulfilled and satisfied. My brain wants more of that. It's one reason why I do YouTube. I just crave connections with people at such a deep level. I think that it is why social media really calls to me. And even from the beginning of this video, I'm already feeling more energized than when I first sat down. That's what I'm saying. Like, talking about the things that matter, the things that make us more healthy and productive, and a society that works together and has people living fulfilling lives, and not lives of drudgery and like have tos and should haves, Anyway, we're getting nice and philosophical today. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute. And a lot of times I talk about where I don't edit out my pauses, but the ones that I do edit out are when it's like I really need to pause and just kind of let my brain just shut down for a minute to really think about like what the next topic, if I want to say anything else, or if I just want to wrap it up. So I'll be right back. Okay, I want to show you what my brain actually does. It's like I just need this time where I'll just sit here and I'll just kind of be really quiet and close my eyes. And I'll do that in live conversations when I'm having a conversation with a person. It's like I just need everything to go quiet so that I can put these thoughts together that I have in my head. It's like they're there, and I can't get them to come to the front so that they can come out my mouth. And it's really frustrating because it's like I know they're there, but I just have to have and nobody can talk or anything, which of course, most people, when they have that gap of silence, they want to fill it because of awkward silence. And it's just like, oh no, I have something I really want to say. I need that quiet. Really quick, hopefully. I did want to talk again. I have a couple videos about regression after a burnout or after an autism diagnosis. And I was talking about that again with my therapist this morning, and how real and how frustrating it is. And I have really had a regression of skills in the kitchen. I've mentioned that a couple of times. It's really bizarre. I keep burning food. I keep I left out an ingredient in a major ingredient when I was making biscuits the other day. Just mistakes that I never used to make in the kitchen, I am making left and right, and it's really frustrating. Um, I can't put, it's just, the only thing that gives me comfort is that I know that other autistic people, after a burnout, have also had regression of skills, with driving, with reading, for me in the kitchen, a lot of times with hygiene, around hygiene, they've lost regression of skills. Not like, oh, I just don't want to shower, but like, how do I get through the steps of showering? How do I, the sensory of the showering becomes too intense, like these kinds of things. Another one for me that has been very difficult is planning things. This summer, like normally I have our summers full of plans, and I've just like somehow lost the ability to create these plans and plan ahead for things. And it's something that I used to be able to do. Like I was homeschool mom. That's another regression. Thankfully, the timing of that worked out well, and my kids are now doing a public school online at home, because at this point, I don't think that I would have been able to continue to homeschool them because of my burnout. And so me having the support of having the public education system, but being able to have it for them to be online and be at home because their autism, they can't handle being in a public school system. It's the sensory they were in there for 1 month, and the sensory was incredibly too much for them. But yeah, so like loss of planning, and it's like, I know that I used to be able to do these things, and the fact that I can't do them anymore. And I don't want to say can't, like I don't know. I'm working, there's a really cool tool out there called Gremlin Tools. It's a website, gremlin.tools. I haven't used it yet, so I can't recommend it specifically, but it helps break down tasks. And so I'm planning on trying to like use that, and just like use supports and get, and like I was talking to my therapist, it's like, it's frustrating because I know I used to be able to do these things and to not be able to access it. And I don't know if it was my mask just pushing through, and now my body's like, you're not doing that anymore. And some people, I think they have a better grasp on being able to push the mask back on. But as I'm unmasking, I'm losing the ability to mask. And I've heard for some autistic people that is common. And then other people, because they're like in a work situation, and so they still slip in their mask every day. And so like they don't lose it because they have to have it for survival. So I mean, just to be clear, being a masked autistic person is not good for our mental health. Like unmasking and letting our autistic traits come through is better for our mental health. The problem is for your physical health, sometimes unmasking isn't an available choice for everybody. Like they might get fired even though technically it's a disability and it's protected by ADA. We know reality doesn't always match up with, ideal. So there's all those caveats, right? And then also, I've mentioned several times, and it's just worth mentioning again because I get new subscribers, that people of color and other minority groups also sometimes do not have the privilege to unmask. And one of the reasons why I make the videos that I do is that for everybody in the community to be able to eventually be able to live in a world where we can be unmasked. And so I'm trying to do the work to help normalize what actual autism looks like, destigmatize it, because it's not scary, it's just different. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Thank you guys. I need y'all. Y'all help me so much. Bye.